What's up, guys? MC Stu here. Been a little while since I had a video out. I've finally finished the move to our temporary living situation, so I've got the PCs all set back up. I am in kind of a large gaming computer pod here now with the rest of my family, so excuse any background noises you might hear. So today what we're going to talk about is how to farm for the parts you need to make Isomags. So let's briefly just talk about Isomags and what they are. We're going to this is going to be a 3-part series where we're going to talk about, first off, this video, how to get the pieces you need. The next video is going to be how to go about crafting them and getting the mods you want. And then lastly, we'll have a few different build videos on best way to go about using these. So Isomags were added to the game a few months back, and we call them Isomags for short, but it's the Advanced Engineering Isomagnetic Plasma Distribution Manifold, which is a mouthful. This specific one is disruptor base, so it's going to boost your disruptor, and it's going to give you the weapons power cap boost and additional weapons power. So if you stack them on a ship where you can get 5, 6, 7 of them, they are going to outperform your colony consoles. CasualSAB has a great video really breaking down kind of the stats on the differences and where you start to see these start to pull ahead. So they're definitely worth using, if you're trying to boost that performance. There's some other reasons you might want these. These sell very well. Also, the parts that we're going to discuss today and how to get them sell very well, and you can make a good amount of EC. If that's something that you need, if you're grinding for a Lobi ship on the exchange or whatever it may be that you need, this is a great source of income, and it's not too difficult to get these items that you need to put these together and make these. And again, we'll go into more detail about the mods and how to get those in a later video, so stay tuned for that. All right, so real quick, we're going to just talk about what you need to craft these. Again, we're not going to go into big detail because that's going to be for a later video, but just so you know what you're after. So to create the Isomags, you're going to have to get 5 of these pieces. So they're the Advanced Engineering Fragments, Isomagnetic Plasma pieces. You need 5 of those in order to make a core. Once you have the core, you're going to come to Engineering, Advanced Consoles, and you're going to select the Isomags, confirm, and that is what you would have created with those 5 pieces there. The coil is what it is, not a core. I apologize. So once you have that, you can go ahead and craft one of these Isomags, and that's all you're going to need. So let's talk about how you get those. So you can buy all of those pieces off the exchange, but you're going to spend anywhere between 30 to 40 million in order to get enough to craft one of them. You can buy the Isomags off the exchange for 30 to 50 million, but generally they're going to have a mod that you probably don't want, like Perception or Stealth or something like that. Ones that have mods that you do want, they're going to be a lot more expensive. If you want one that's fully upgraded, you could be spending up to 90 million per. And you're really going to need at least 4 to 5 of these to make them worthwhile using over the colony consoles. So the best way to go about getting these is to run elite TFOs that drop them, and they're going to drop out of one of 2 boxes. So either the radiological particles or the plankton, I don't know if I'm saying that right, particle boxes. And these come from a certain number of advanced TFOs. There's a list of them here on the StoWiki. I'll link this, but we're going to focus on doing some that are going to be the easiest, most effective, the fastest, let's put it that way. So the space ones tend to be very, very long, and you need to grind quite a few of these in order to get enough in order to make one of these consoles. So what I've been focusing on is doing Into the Hive and Minor Instability. Let's talk about how many you have to do and how to get the best bang for buck here. So the drop rates that have been found through testing is about a 50% drop rate. So that would mean that you would need to run 10 of those in order to get enough of those pieces in order to create or craft one of these consoles. The issue I've found is that if you say run 1 or 2 and then you open those boxes and then you run 1 or 2 more a couple days later and open these boxes, I've found that massively reduces the drop rate. I haven't had a way to really quantify that, so it is somewhat anecdotal. But anytime I've ran enough and I've gotten 10 boxes and opened them, I've gotten at least 5, but I've gotten all the way up to 8 by doing it that way. So I don't know if there's some sort of timer on that drop rate system, but if you open 10 of them at a time, you're going to get more of them than if you're just opening a couple at a time and a couple at a time and a couple at a time. I don't have any specific testing or science behind that, but that's been my experience running these for the past 2 to 3 weeks. Is that if you want to get the best drop rates out of it, what I've found is get 10 or more and open those all in one sitting. So run 2 a day for 5 days, and at the end open all of those, or however, whatever the cadence is that you're wanting to, run these TFOs. Make sure that you're getting at least 10 and then opening them all up at that one time. So by running either one of those, you're going to get these boxes here, and that's where these pieces come from. So it's pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do next, and if that's enough info and you already know how to run those TFOs on Elite, then you're good to go to move on to the next one for crafting. And again, that should be up a couple days after this video goes live. They'll all be linked together in a chain, from how to get them to how to craft them to how to use them in a build for them. That'll all be linked together once this is done over the week that this video series is being released. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to run both of the TFOs that I recommend. And I'll speed up some of the mundane parts, but there's some particular parts in there where there's fails that can happen. And so we'll speed up the parts that are just, holding territory or timer related. And then I'll give a little bit of commentary, just what you need to do to make sure that you're passing the TFO so you can get your box and your time is worthwhile. What I've found in terms of being able to queue up for these is that if you go in and you go, let's just say we're going to do into the Hive, you're going to come down, find into the Hive. It's already set on Elite, and you queue up for it. I'm finding that if it doesn't queue up right away, what's happening is there's groups that are going through that same 2 ground TFO rotation. So I might have to wait 5, maybe 10 minutes because the current rotation that's going is on minor instability. But I'm able to, after that, get queued up for this. And then once this is complete, if I queue up for minor instability right after that, I'm finding that I'm being able to jump into that next one right away, and you can get into a good cycle. Now, there is a 30-minute cooldown on these, so what I'm also finding is that if you have 2 tunes that can do the Elite content, and it's not super hard, and maybe we'll talk in another video about ground build that can handle this. I think my 101 ground build would be able to handle this with no problem. But if you have 2 characters that have a halfway decent ground setup, and really what you need is just survivability, is really kind of the bottom line. The set that we just got from the last event would probably get that done for you, and then any kind of good area of effect and control stuff. Again, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but if you have two characters, you basically would run Hive into the Hive, minor instability, switch over to the other character, and then run those 2 again, and then you can switch back. So if you were wanting to, just blow out a whole bunch of them in, one play session, if you have 2 characters, that's enough to be able to cycle through all 4, and the cooldowns, not overlap between those 2 characters. So you could just cycle through those 2 characters one after another. Once you get, like I said, into a TFO and you start cycling through like that, you're going to find these TFOs are popping pretty quick. There's quite a few people farming these because they want the Isomags for their ships. But again, even if you're not interested in the Isomags, there's some really good EC to be made from all of these materials. You can even just sell these boxes. So, if you pick up these boxes are going from anywhere between 4 all the way up to 8 million, depending on what's available. So it's a great source of income to be able to just pick up the boxes, or if you open all 10 and you get 5 or 6 Isomags, those are going for anywhere in between 8 to 10 million, the pieces, that is, and people need 5 of those in order to build these consoles. So what we're going to do next is go ahead and jump into the Hive. We'll run through that again. I'll put it on fast forward, stop at the times where we need to just talk about what's happening. So if you haven't run these on Elite, you'll know exactly what to do and be able to get through these quickly. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the first one. In the first room, we have objectives in the outer corners and the inner corners. You need to go to each one, deactivate it. If you step in these plasma squares when they light up, they will instantly kill you. Once you deactivate one of these nodes, these Borgs will come after you, so you'll need to kill them as soon as that happens. Once all the nodes have been deactivated in the room, then there'll be a short little prep timer, and we'll move on to the next section. Once we enter this room, someone will need to come up and upload the virus. Once that happens, you'll get just waves of enemies that spawn. You'll also be targeted by these little laser beams. I don't have one on me yet, but it tracks you as that circle gets smaller. Once it gets all the way small, it'll create this area of effect, and then you just want to get out of it. I find it's best just to stand still like this, and then once it gets tiny and it right as it spawns, then move out of it. Otherwise, you could accidentally be running around the room and maybe drop it off onto one of your teammates by mistake. It is not an insta-kill, so it's not like the end of the world if you get hit by it, like the plasma squares in the last room. But you do want to try and avoid those because you may also be taking damage by something, you know, other enemies that are in the area here. So again, when you get this, just stay still. Wait for it to spawn it, and then just move out of it. It's the easiest way. Once this force field goes down, we're going to enter a hallway that'll have a bunch of alcoves. Borgs will spawn. You just kill them as you're moving towards them. Once you get up around the corner here, there's a little console you just activate. Once that's done, we'll go into the room that has the queen in it. Here's our console. We're going to deactivate the force field. Now, the queen fight, it's a culmination of basically all the hazards we've already ran into. So you're going to have, obviously, Borg that you're fighting. There's going to be squares that have the plasma burn, like in the first room. And then there'll also be the lasers that come down and spawn the circles of the plasma fires around you. So it's basically all the things that you've already experienced, but it'll just start to kind of overlap. So the main thing is just to make sure that you're staying out of the plasma squares and then avoiding the lasers that come down and mark you, and then just killing, you know, each of the waves of the Borgs that are spawned. In between each of the phases, you'll have the queen spawn, in which case you'll attack her, she'll go back up, and then you'll wait for the next waves. So we got a bunch of Borg here now, and then we should start seeing the floors lighting up here in different parts. So back here, it becomes a little chaotic. Sometimes I like to kind of get more on the outside so I can just see a little bit better what's going on. With a lot of the visual spam, what'll happen in some cases for me is I'll be standing in one of the plasma squares, but I can't, like this one here, but I can't see it. So I end up dying to that. If you do die, you just respawn over in one of these corners, and then you can just run back in and continue to finish the last fight here. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. This is the fastest one. Minor instability is a little bit longer. You have to traverse more area. We're gonna run that one here in the next video. This one's pretty straightforward. I'd recommend bringing a kinetic weapon. As you saw, I mostly use my kit modules. I'll just quickly show you my build. I'll probably do a separate video for builds, but you can use a lot of different stuff. The main thing is just surviving. There's not any major fail conditions in this particular one, so this one's probably the easiest, most straightforward. There are optionals, but that's not going to make any difference on you completing it and getting your box there. So we have 2 boxes here. Once I select my marks, and I'm going to go for the Omega marks, and here is my box. So now I have 3 of them, and next what we'll do is I would leave here, and I will queue up for minor instability, and we should see that that pop right away. So the beginning of minor instability, after the prep phase, there are NPCs here in the middle, and you're going to want to defend them. So there's an opening in the wall up here and down here. So 2 will have to go to 1, 3 to the other, preferably. And it's better if you you just stop the Romulans there that are coming. So it looks like we got 2 down there. So I'm going to just run up here. And if you have turrets or anything that you can do area of effect with, that makes this part easy. But basically, you want to stop them from getting through here. If the bottom does their job as well, then no one ever gets close to the NPCs down in the middle of the map. So that's all you have to do at the beginning of this. So this is on a timer, so we have 2 minutes and 40 seconds left that we just have to defend this area. And then after that, we'll move forward. Now, it's important to note, and I'll just talk about this now, but if you're at the top with where I am, there's a route that you'll take that's right in front of us. If you're at the bottom, there's another route that you take, and there's just some bad guys along the way, nothing major. You'll get over to the gate. There's also a gate on the other side, the way that we're going to go, and it's basically the same process at either one, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. Romulans are attacking from the south. All right, so the timer's almost up. We're going to get a unskippable cutscene here. I think we have to actually kill any bad guys that are left before it'll progress faster here. And I'm going to die. You're going to die in these, and that's okay. I don't know where these guys are going. It's a weird one. All right, so there'll be a few group of NPCs that you'll need to take out along the way here. There's going to be some Gorn that we're going to want to free. So let's see if we can get down there to them. Once you freed them, we're going to head down. Whoa, a little vent there got me. Going to head down, and there's going to be 3 large groups of Romulans down here. And I like to go in the middle here and boost the Agony Field Generator. Okay, now we're going to come up to the gate, so we just need to kill the bad guys on the top of the wall. They'll keep spawning. While that's happening, the Gorn will start banging on the gate and break it open so we can get inside. There's an inner gate as well, so we'll have to do that same thing for both. So right now the other team is on the other side of these little mountains here at the other gate. And they're working on basically doing the same thing. So if you went that direction, you essentially do the same thing. There's a couple mobs you have to kill on the way. There's an outer and inner gate, and you just got to protect the Gorn as you break through here. So once we get inside, there's going to be mobs that we need to kill. And then what's going to happen is Gorn is going to want to shut down the mining lasers or drills or whatever. So basically the rest of this, we just want to protect him. He can eventually be killed. And so we want to make sure that we keep him alive. There'll be this arrow over him. So essentially any mobs that spawn to come after him, we're going to want to just kill them. All right, that's minor instability. So pretty straightforward. So it's just a matter of protecting the NPCs at the very beginning and then protecting the Gorn at the very end is really all you have to do. You'll find that even with a good build, you'll die here and there. Stuff on cooldown, things like that. It's not a big deal. Just respond. You'll see in a lot of these, I think most our teammates are all gone, but you'll see people have all kinds of injuries. So this person's been going through doing the rotation. They've died multiple times. I got an injury on that last one. I didn't die on the one before, but when I go through and do a rotation on these, you'll see that people have quite a few of those. So don't even worry about that. You can go to the infirmary, get those fixed. I normally just do that at the end. I don't know that it really has any kind of real impact on your character. So I went ahead and claimed my marks, and that gave me another box here. So those two are the best way to go about doing this. So just run your into the Hive, run your minor instability, jump over to a secondary character, do it again, and you can continue to go through that rotation in order to farm these boxes here. All right, so I think that covers the most efficient ways to go ahead and farm out the pieces that you need for the Isomags, be it whether or not you're going to craft them and put them on your ship, or if you're just going to sell the individual parts and make EC off them. I think that's the best way to go about doing it. I'll log into my dailies and I'll just do one rotation. I'll basically run one of each and then open all 10 at the end of the week. Sometimes on the weekends, if I'm playing with some friends, we might hammer out a whole bunch more if there's nothing else going on. But if you're looking for a full set of consoles and you're pushing it real hard, I mean, you could get those within just a couple weeks or a couple days. But I mean, it would take some major time. I mean, you're looking at, let's just say on average, 8 to 10 minutes per run. And if it's, popping constantly, then you can do the math there. 10 of them, 10 minutes, it's about an hour and a half. It's rounded to 2 hours to basically get, enough pieces for the one. If you are just saving them up, though, and opening them all at once, like I said, at least get 10 before you start to open up the boxes. The drop rate just seems to be better like that. There's got to be some sort of timer associated. So if I just open one now and tomorrow opened another one and the next day opened another one, we would find, anecdotally, what I have found is that the drop rate it doesn't seem to be anywhere near as good than if you were to open a whole bunch of them at once. So definitely do that. All right, guys, that covers this one. The next video in this series is going to be crafting them, which is pretty straightforward, and then talking about the different ways to get the mods. And you might think there's one way, but there's actually another kind of potential workaround that you might find is a little more advantageous. But we'll jump into that on the next video, and then the last one in the series will be a my build video that I am going to be using these Isomags on. Got questions, comments? Throw those down in the comment section. Discord links down in the description. And until next time, guys, have a good one. Appreciate it.